Hey everybody, it's Mary Jo from MaryjoesCreations. Welcome back to my channel. It is Vlogmas Day 9. I am in my room. Honestly, it's been a long day. It's nighttime, and I was just very tired today. I tried to edit last night's video. It only went up a little while ago. So I apologize for the video going up late yesterday, but I needed a day to relax. I barely made anything today. I'll show you what I made. This video might not be a long video. I don't know if you guys like the longer videos or the shorter videos, but I don't know anymore. But anyway, I didn't do much today, to be honest. I actually did some baking. I love to bake and cook, and I actually did some baking today. I haven't baked since, well, I baked on Thanksgiving, but before that, it was a while since I've baked anything, really, a few months, and I just needed to bake something, so I made some cranberry scones, and I just hung out with my friend for a little while, and, you know, I did a little bit of crocheting, but not much, or at least for me, it's not a lot. And as soon as I'm done with this square, which this is one that I've been doing, I'll show you. But I decided that I was going to sit in here today and for the rest of the night, and I'm going to work on these squares. And I decided that this is the yarn I was talking about, that I was thinking of doing either a hexie cardigan or granny squares, and maybe turn it into a blanket. I don't know how many granny squares this is going to give me. I have honestly no idea how many granny squares I can get out of the yarn that I have, but we're going to find out, because I really do think I'm going to make a blanket out of these. I mean, I can always turn these into a jacket, or a cardigan, or a sweater, or, they're squares. You can pretty much turn them into anything. But I think sorry, guys. This is another reason. Oh, my shoulder just popped. Did you hear that? This was another reason why I just needed to take a break, because honestly, I've been exhausted, and I just needed a day to kind of relax. And so I just wanted to come on here and make a little video, because, again, I am going to post every day regardless of how I feel. Some days it might be shorter videos, some days it might be longer videos. I don't know. I'm going with the flow, man. Just going with the flow. So today I just felt like making granny squares, and I decided that I was going to turn this yarn into granny squares. Once they're done, I'll decide what I'll do with all the granny squares, but I have a feeling I'm going to be left with a lot of granny squares after Vlogmas. Maybe you know, like, I do have to finish the blanket. If you saw yesterday's video, I did not finish the blanket. And I needed a break from that too, because I put a lot of work in it yesterday. I didn't show you all of it because I did forget to... film at one point. I sat down at one point, and, you know, when I went to take a break after that, after I filmed the first time, and there goes my yarn. I hate when my yarn falls on the floor. But anyway, I'll grab it in a minute. Forgot what I was saying. Just that fast. I was, oh, I did. I forgot to film. You know, yesterday was a long day, and then some things happened, and I was, you know, I had a headache. I had some things happen, and I just sat down in the living room and started working on the blanket, and honestly didn't even think about turning on the camera. I just sat there and worked, and then took another break, and then sat back down and worked again. And, you know, the last time I went in, it was already like 11:30 at night, and I was tired, but I wanted to try and finish the blanket, and I don't have a lot of yarn left, but yesterday was a lot, and I needed a break from the blanket today, so I needed a break altogether today. But you know, I definitely didn't want to work on the blanket. I definitely didn't want to work on something big. I didn't want to work on the blanket. I didn't want to work on the hex seat. I didn't want to do any of that. I wanted to do something that was, you know, little small things, something that didn't take a lot of time. So if I didn't want to do, you know, a lot, I would feel accomplished with, you know, having done a few. And I figured the best thing was granny squares. And the big granny squares that I'm making, I need to see how much yarn I have left, because that is a scrap project, right? So I don't know how much. I have to finish my big blanket. Maybe that one might not get finished during Vlogmas. It all depends on when I sit down to do some of the work on that blanket in the living room. Because the colors that are in that scrap yarn blanket are the colors that I'm using for that big blanket. And I don't know if I'm going to have any extra colors. And I'll show you what I'm talking about tomorrow. And the little squares that I'm making, the ones that count for the days of Christmas, for the Vlogmas, I didn't even think of grabbing those, to be honest with you, because I got this in my head and I just wanted to do this. Let me count here. Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, and so, like, if you've been here, if you know me, you know that sometimes I just go with what I feel. And for some reason, I wanted to start these. I think it came because I had a pile of little scraps on this table in my room. And they were just bugging me. It's like they were looking at me saying, use me, use me. So I used it all up. I made the center of this one here. Here. I made the center of this one here. And then I added the pink that I had here. And I made this little piece here, and this little piece here, and this one here. And now I still have this yarn here, but I don't, I actually, like, didn't even, I think it had fallen on the floor, and I just picked it up a few minutes ago. But, you know, like I was saying, I did a few of the center part of the square of the scraps that was here. And then, you know, my brain was like, okay, well, I don't want to leave these centers lying around because I'm gonna, you know, they're gonna, I don't want more half-finished crap everywhere. Because if the squares are finished, you know, and all they have to do is be attached, I'm okay with that. Because there's full squares. When there's stuff that's half done, that's what irritates me, you know? Because clearly I can't put everything together until they're done, but at least the squares are done. I don't know if that makes sense to y'all, but it makes sense to me, so let me know if it makes sense to you. So I'm trying to use these tiny scraps, and I think I used them all already. All the small scraps that I had. I have to check it out. But I went inside and grabbed a few of the bigger balls that I had in blue and in the purple, which turns into, I think I had two. I had like a light purple, and I think I had a purple that turned into gray and black. It went from like purple to gray to black. And then I think I had one yarn that was just purple. Different shades of purple. And I had one of these yarns that was different shades of pink. And then I had one of these yarn, this style of yarn, that was in different shades of blue. And so I went and I grabbed the blue and grabbed some of this, which it started out, and I'll show you that square. It started out with like a really deep purple, and then it went into a black, and then it went into gray. So it makes for really interesting squares, because even though it's like a pink yarn, a purple yarn, a blue yarn, and like a gray yarn, they're all like, I don't know what you would call that, like a multicolored yarn, I guess. And it's fun, especially, I think it's fun when you're doing squares, because even though you have only those 3 kinds of yarns, those 3 skeins or 4 skeins or whatever it was, and I only have bits and pieces of them because, again, I used the pink and the purple to make a cardigan, and then I used the blue to make a granny square tank top. So I don't have full skeins. I just have balls of yarn lying around, and they alone, they're not enough to make anything. And especially like the color changes are so like, the colors are so different at times that you don't even think you're using the same skein. And so you know, like I said, I was going to do a hexie, and today, I don't know, something just said, just make squares. So I went into my workroom and I grabbed a bunch of, I think it was like two separate balls that I had. One blue, like I said, and one that was like, I think it started off as purple. I think it started off as purple, and I used some of the purple, and then it went into black. And then it went into like a grayish purple. And I finished 2 squares already. I should have worked on the 2 that I had already started, the 3 that I had already started, which is these 3. But I kind of wanted to get rid of this smaller yarn. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to make a full square. I don't want this much of this shade of pink in one square. So I might end it here. And then we'll tie on a different color. And I want to make as many little centerpieces to start as possible. And then just grab the rest of the yarn and start just making giant squares. Because I believe I'm going to make these squares 7 rounds. Because I'm going to do the join as you go method. Not the join, yeah, the join, I don't know exactly what that method is called at the moment because my brain is all jumbled. But, you know, the way I connect my hexie cardigans. So it's going to have another row of granny stitch around it. And I believe it is called the join as you go. So I'm not, you know, I only did 7, and then there's going to be like 8 rounds around each. What color I'm going to use for the join as you go, I have no freaking idea. But I'll figure it out. I just want to get the squares done, and then once the squares are done, that's when I'll figure out what I'll do with it. But I have a very strong feeling that I am going to turn it into a blanket. Which is a good thing because I love blankets. I love blankets all over the house. And all of my blankets are very old and very worn, especially like the old knitted ones that I have that, you know, you would buy at the store. They're very thin, and again, they're very old. They have to be at least, I don't know, 15 to 20 years old. So, you know, it's time to get new blankets. And I sure don't want to buy new blankets because any good blanket is very expensive. So I'm going to make my own blankets. And there's the one that's in the living room. That's going to be a living room blanket. And then I showed you yesterday the blanket yarn blanket that's going to be in here. And I have not worked on that. I might work on that when when I'm editing this video. And if I do some extra work on it, I will let you see it tomorrow. But I figured that, you know, I could do something good with this yarn that I don't really want to use to make wearables. I really don't. I just don't like the feel of this yarn too much. And again, I know I said it, you know, I do love my cardigan. And it's warm. And it doesn't feel bad. It's comfortable. I love it. But it is heavy. This yarn does come out very heavy once it's worked up. And it's very ropey. It's not like a fluffy yarn. So one cardigan for me is enough. And I don't know if I would want to make one to put up on my website. I just don't really... This isn't a yarn I really like to use. And then, like, what I've noticed, also, and that's why I didn't want to use this yarn for that either, is because sometimes it feels like a roving yarn. Like, roving yarn is when it gets, like, when it's thin in one place and thick in the other, right? I believe. And that's what this feels like sometimes. Sometimes the yarn gets very thin. See, even like right here, see, like, I don't know if you can tell, but this is a little more fluffy, and then it starts to get thinner towards, like, I don't know. It's weird yarn, and I really don't want to work with it like that. So I thought that the best thing to do was to... The more I thought about it, I came to the conclusion that the best thing for me to do with this yarn would just be to make a blanket. Whether it goes on my bed or on this chair, or in the living room. It doesn't matter. It'll be used. It might be used on top of my bed. Who knows? But I do know that it's going to be a heavy blanket. And I'm okay with that. I think weighted blankets are awesome. And sometimes you want to feel that, you know, like that heaviness. And it is warm because that cardigan that I have is very warm. So I know that the blanket is going to be comfy. And it is going to be breathable because it's a granny stitch, so there are holes in it. So it's going to keep me warm, but it's not going to have me overheat. And I don't know, the more I think about it... Oh, thank God, this is almost done. The more I think about it, the more I like the idea of making this a blanket. And tomorrow, I do have to go shopping, which will be today for you. But I do need to go food shopping. So I'm not going to have as much time as I want to crochet, like when I have all day. Like today, again, I only started crocheting about, what, half an hour ago? Well, no, I did those 2 squares. Each square takes me about 15, 20 minutes. But I made 2 squares. One was already kind of started, but I finished 2 squares before I started filming. Because I was... I don't know what I was doing. I think I was watching... Honestly, I think I was watching Cinnamon Stitches. And trying to catch up on her video because I haven't had time to watch all my Vlogmas videos that I wanted to watch. There are a few people that I'm watching. Kelsey is absolutely one of them. Crochet Vision is another. I know Cinnamon Stitches is not, I mean, I don't think she's doing Vlogmas because she's not calling it Vlogmas, but I love, I found her recently and I really do like to watch her. I've been missing Yarn Over Hook, which I'm so sad about, but every time, like, I've just been so busy and I have very limited time, so I will catch up on those videos soon. I really haven't been able to catch any lives because I'm either working or I don't know. But there's quite a few videos that I haven't seen yet, and I decided while my video was uploading onto YouTube, I decided to watch a video, and I was watching Cinnamon Stitches, and that's when I was doing the other squares. And once I finally had that finished, I decided to start filming. And I thought that the best thing to do was just continue to do my squares. Because, again, I desperately needed a break from that blanket. And I'm okay with that. Because again, I don't know if I will be able to work on it tomorrow. And my friend is very understanding and she's wonderful. But I don't think I'll be able to work on that tomorrow. I am not sure. I don't know what energy I will have left once I come back from shopping. But what I do know is that when I pick up that blanket again, it's definitely going to be finished. Because I think the ball of yarn that's left is probably like this size. And it's not going to take me very long to finish it. Although it is a 3-weight, so with a 3-weight, looks can be deceiving. But I'm guessing like another 45 minutes to an hour on that blanket and I'll be finished. So I know that the next time I pick up that project, I will finish it. But I definitely needed a break from it because it was just overwhelming. And I needed something that was quick, that, if I didn't feel like doing a lot of squares, I wouldn't feel bad if I only got 2 or 3 squares done. Whereas if I picked up the blanket and I didn't finish it because I'm still tired, I knew that would like really bother me. So that's why I'm doing squares. And like I said, I'm going to, hopefully, tomorrow, I don't know what I'm going to be doing once I come back from shopping. But I will be either working on that blanket and finishing it, or I will do the squares. And do kind of like a mini, how many squares can I make? Like how many squares can I make in that day? And it might be only like a 2 or 3 hour day for me crocheting, but we can always see how many I can get done. And those aren't big squares. Those are 5, right? 5 rounds. So probably quite a few. These that I'm doing right now are 7 rounds. And I think the other ones I'm doing are 9 rounds. I don't know. I'm doing granny squares of all sizes. And see, this is what I'm talking about. You see the yarn, like you see how this blue, which, I mean, it's a little brighter on the screen, but this blue, and now it's going into this light blue. So, you know, I don't have to cut the yarn to change colors as often, because I don't want like solid colors all the way around. You know what I mean? Like for a long square, like I think this pink was a little too much, but it's fine. And I just have squares of all different fucking sizes. Like, I don't know what the hell I'm thinking, you know? But I'm going with what I feel, man. And if they are all going to be made into blankets, then I do want them different sizes, because that way it'll look, you know, yeah, they're granny square blankets, but every single one of them is different, not only with the kind of yarn that's being used, but because the squares are different sizes, and, you know, it's not, I don't feel like it's repetitive, even though I'm making granny squares after granny squares. They're different granny squares, different yarn and different amount of rounds, and it's just they're all going to be unique in their own way. One is made up of scrap yarn where, like, it's really like that 24-day one. That's the one I want to catch up on. That one is like, I think it's actually going to be one of the coolest ones, because it really is just scrap from wherever, you know, whatever pieces that I have of all different kinds of yarn. I think there's Big Twist in there. There's loops and threads. That's kind of like this yarn, but ooh, sorry. This one's more like shiny. I like to refer to this as fancy yarn, because it does feel fancy. And we're going into the light blue. And I think that, how many do we have right now? 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going into the 5th round right now. And I think 6 and 7, I'm going to finish off with that gray that looks like it's going into purple. But I think this is fancy yarn. That's what I like to call it, because it does feel fancy. But even though they're granny squares, they're all going to be so completely different. From the yarn that's being used to the size of the squares. All the squares are different sizes. So that's going to give it a different look. And then the 25 days of squares, which I'm far behind on, is also completely unique. So, oh, and then we have, I completely forgot, then we have the purple one. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4 different granny square projects going at the same time. Now, in all fairness, they were all on my whip list. So it's not like I picked up something new. Although this one, I do have it on my whip list as either going to be Hexie cardigan or granny squares. So I have to update my list. And I do like to make notes. Like when I work on it, I put like how many squares I've added and how many squares I've done, and just put the date down so I know. And then when I'm finished with all the squares, or when I'm finished with that project, I write it, I write done next to it, so I know that it's finished. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I don't want this really color controlled, only to a certain extent. So I'm going to cut this yarn off here, and I'm going to tie this one on. And you see this one? Right now it's like, you think it's gray, but this is actually part of the purple one, or the purple and black one that I had. That I honestly cannot remember what I used this for. I really can't. Because it wasn't the purple that I used for with the Hexie. It was a different one. And I don't know if I made a scarf out of this when I first got it. I have no idea at the moment, and I am just too tired to think and try to figure it out. So, this was on the whip list, and I think I said it before, if I can get all the granny squares done, even if they're not all connected, I will be okay with that, because then when I'm on break, I can take that time to sew them all up or connect them in whichever way I'm going to connect them. Whether it's sewing them together or, you know, join as you go, not join as you go, join as you go. Listen, dude, I'm tired. And I'm doing the best I can. So I am so sorry if I, you know, sound like a raving madwoman. But this weather is making my fibromyalgia act up. And I just feel achy. I feel like it's going to snow. And my nerve pain is like getting out of control. And I know it does flare up every once in a while. But honestly, like the nerve pain in my legs and, you know, in my head, and sometimes it goes into my hands. My feet are killing me. And I am doing the best that I can. And I appreciate anyone who watches these videos. It's, it makes me happy that at least someone is watching them, you know? And I know I like watching people because I feel like I'm not alone when I'm crocheting. And if I can give that back to just 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 people, you know, that makes me feel good. if I'm someone, someone's crochet buddy, I'm good with that. And I've been rambling on for about 40 minutes now. I'm going to have to go and edit this video now. I'm tired of editing. But when I'm done with this square, I will show you the ones that I've done. And that's where we'll end this video. So my plans so far, I might do a few more of these tonight. I'm not sure. It depends on how I feel. I might either make some of these while I'm editing, or I might work on my blanket while I'm editing. It all depends on how my hands feel after I take a break. But tomorrow, I believe that I am going to maybe just do the squares. Because if I can, knock out 5 or 6 or 7 squares, that'll make me feel good, Just like making these, I'm so, proud of myself and happy that this yarn is turning into something now. And if I have all the projects that I want to do in Granny Squares started and just do a couple of squares at a time for each one, then I'll be okay with that, because it is for you day 9. So, we still have a little bit of time. And doing Granny Squares is a lot easier when I have stuff to do. So tomorrow I have to go food shopping. And I don't know how much time I'm going to have to crochet, because that does take a lot out of me. And when I go food shopping, normally I don't do much for the rest of the day, because it's just that exhausting for me, and it's a lot of time out and bringing the groceries in and putting them away and all of that. It really does mess with my fibro, so I don't know how much energy I'm going to have after that. And picking up a square here and there is okay. If I have the energy to sit down for even an hour tomorrow to make a video, I can get quite a few squares done in an hour, especially if it's the small squares, like just the 5-round squares. I could probably get 3 or 4 of those done in an hour. And I'll be good with that. If I could get more done, I'll be good with that too. If tomorrow I can, sit down twice, and that means I can get 6 squares done, I'll be even happier. I don't know if that's going to happen, because, again, this is the first time I'm sitting down to crochet today, and it was like 10 something. I think it's like 11 o'clock now, and I'm going to go edit this video, and then I'm going to go to sleep, because I am tired. And I also think that, I want to decorate my house for Christmas. And I don't know if I'm going to film any of that. I might film a little bit of that and put that in. but I don't know how much I'm going to crochet that day. And decorating my house usually takes like 2 to 3 days, because my decorations are in the basement. And I normally need help bringing the stuff up because I can't. 2 of my totes are very heavy. I have a lot of globes and heavy stuff, and you'll see it because I will show you once I decorate. But I have to bring it up, and I do get help bringing them up. But once I bring everything up, I have to kind of like do a switch off. So I'll empty the totes that I can empty out without unwrapping anything. Those get done first, or I have like those, you know, those big bags with the zipper that you like put stuff in them. They're kind of like totes, but they're bags. I have a lot of Christmas stuffed animals that I like to put around the house or the living room. So what I'll do is I'll empty those out, and all the stuffed animals that I have in my living room, those go into those bags for the Christmas season, and they get put down in the basement. And I switch them out because I don't have enough room, and I always have stuffed animals out because I do have kids that come over, and I like them to have toys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I need one more. And so I am going to take a day where, you know, I try to get, if I can get one of my friends to come and help me, we can get the totes from downstairs and, you know, get the space ready to put the tree, and take some of the totes downstairs, and then like the next day I, you know, put up the tree. And that's like a job in itself because it's a very old tree, and it's not like the new ones where it has like, you put in one section and it opens out. These are the very old trees that you still have to stick them in. Each one by one. I got this tree when my daughter was like maybe 4 or 5 years old. And she's 30. So the tree has to be at least like 25 years old. But it's still a good tree, and I love my tree, and it's tall, and it's, you know, a hefty tree. So it does need quite a bit of space. So I think that, like I said, it takes me about 3 days, more or less, 2 to 3 days to decorate my living room and get everything up and get all the totes and the tree box and everything back in the basement. And so I won't be able to film in my living room. I'll have to either do it in here, probably film in here, because I might have to put stuff in my workroom too, and I won't be able to film in either room. And I think the days that I am going to be decorating for Christmas, I'm just going to work on granny squares, factory knot. Let's make sure that, is this a factory knot? No. You see what I'm talking about, the yarn? How it gets like really fuzzy. This is not a knot. This is the yarn itself. And it's a little bit thinner, and on this side it's a little bit thicker. Can you see that? That's why, one of the reasons I don't like using this yarn. So I am very happy to use the rest of it to make this blanket and never buy this yarn again. But anyway, I digress. I will definitely be doing granny squares on the days that I will be decorating my living room. So that will be 3 days of doing nothing but granny squares. We will catch up first on the granny squares for the 2 granny squares a day for Christmas. And once we're caught up on those, we will, see what other granny squares we're going to make, because there are some projects that I have to finish in order to see how much yarn I have left to do certain granny squares for other projects. So it gets a little confusing. I hope you follow me. But most likely what I'll be working on until I, can move to the hexie cardigan and the blanket in the living room will be these squares and the ones for the 25 Days of Christmas. And we're just going to take it, one day at a time, I guess. And again, like I said yesterday, sometimes plans will change, and clearly, I might get another idea, or I might feel like I don't want to make squares. I want to finish that hexie, and that's what I'm going to do. So every day is an adventure. Sorry. Every day with me is an adventure. I might say one thing, and it's not that, I'm not lying. I have every intention of doing it. Whether it gets done or not is a different story. Because I go with the flow. And if you've been around long enough, or if you know me personally, you know that I go with the flow. So if I'm not feeling it, I'm not doing it. And if I have a plan and say, I'm going to do this, and then I wake up in the morning and I don't want to do that, then guess what? Plans are changed. And that's okay. I am learning that that's okay. I used to feel bad about it, and I don't feel bad about it anymore. And that took years of therapy. But I am almost done. So for now, the plan for tomorrow is to definitely go food shopping. And at some point throughout the day, I will be making something. What it is at this moment, your guess is as good as mine. Oh, it might be the blanket, or it might be squares. It will be one or the other, though, because the blanket has to get finished. I just needed a break from it. But it does have to get finished. It has to get finished. And there's not much left, so it won't take me very long to finish it. And if I don't feel like doing the blanket, then ooh, excuse me. I will do the squares for the 25 days of Christmas. And I desperately want to start making Christmas items. Like specific items for Christmas, and then also items for Christmas presents. Because I think I need to make like 2 hats or 3 hats or something like that. And I have to double check, but I might have to make a pair of booties. So we'll see about that. And I do want to make myself a Christmas hexie to wear on Christmas. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And this square is finished. And I'm going to show you the squares that I have done today. And then we're going to wrap it up. You know that I need to take a break when I don't have the strength to close this. I'll close this in a little bit after I take something for my pain, because I don't have the strength to pull that closed. But we finished this square right now. I did this one while... This was the first one I did while we were talking. And this was the first one that I did. And honestly, I love them all. Isn't that pretty? That's going to look pretty all together. I think it's going to make a gorgeous blanket. And these are the full squares that I did. And again, they're 7 by 7, right? Like they're 7 rounds, right? And then once I join them, it'll be 8 rounds, right? And I think that they're going to look beautiful together. And I realized I have a lot of pink and purple in the middle, so I need to do some with blue. And I got this little one done, this square done, this square, well, started, and this one started. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 that are started. So this is what we'll be working on in the room. Maybe while I'm editing. I might work on the big one while I'm editing, or I honestly might not do anything while I'm editing. I don't know. It all depends on how I feel and what my body tells me, and I have to learn that that's okay, because honestly, I've learned a lot in these last 6 years since I started getting sick, and especially when the pain got really bad, I had to learn that, it's okay. It's okay to not be able to do something. It's okay if I can't do as much as I used to, or as much as I want to. And there might be some days where I can't do anything at all. And there might be some days like today where I'll only be able to function, I need to rest the majority of the day and only maybe feel good enough to work at night and only for an hour, which is kind of like what happened now. I can't believe that at this moment I'm looking at it and it's about an hour in. And I was crocheting for about 20 to 30 minutes before I came on. So that's about as much as I can crochet at once. And sometimes I can do that 3 times a day. Sometimes I can only do it once a day. And that's just life. But my hands are starting to really hurt me and my feet are starting to tingle really bad. So I am going to end this here. I feel good because I accomplished 3 full granny squares and I got 4 started, which is awesome. And if I finish any more tonight, I will show them to you tomorrow. And tomorrow we will see what happens, but I will see you tomorrow. Okay, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button. It'll help me a lot, and it doesn't cost you a thing. Hit the like button. And hit that little bell, and that'll tell you when I'm on, if you want to know when I'm on. You can go check my website. I don't have everything up there yet, but if you check daily, I'm going to try and put some stuff up there this week. I have some hats that need to go up. And more stuff will go up as often as I can get it up. And am I forgetting something? I have no idea. You can follow me on Facebook and Instagram. I am going to post more frequently, but again, it's been a rough couple of months, and I know I haven't been consistent because of health issues and, just life in general, but that should change in January. You can follow me on Facebook and Instagram. And I think that's all I got. So thank you so much for taking your time out and spending a little bit of it with me. And I appreciate you. And I'll see you tomorrow. See you later. Bye.